Hey everybody, welcome back to the Brave Enough to Talk podcast. I'm your host, Cousin Marcus. For those of you who are new here, I do want to start off by saying this podcast is about men's mental health and the things that men go through. This is geared towards men, but it's not exclusive to men. So if you're someone else who's not a man out there and you're listening to this and you've got issues going on and things like that, I hope that you can gain some insight or gain some help and feel not so alone in certain situations, that this podcast can help you as well. Like I said, this is geared towards men, but it's not exclusive to men. With that being said, I do want to talk about something today, and it's something that I've been kind of going through a lot lately and just trying to figure out. Recently, I lost my job. I lost my job. Thank God I'm in a situation where I can still take care of myself. You know what I mean? I'm not like I can survive without a job. I'm in a financial situation where I can survive without a job, right? And I'm very grateful for that. But I know that's not the case for other people. Just a little bit about my background. My background is in mass communications, public relations. So I've been doing digital marketing, social media, and things like that for a long time. I recently started learning and trying to get into like cybersecurity as well. And honestly, right now the job market is we all know it. We all know what's going on. It's not the best. Um, but I come here. I want to talk about the fact that it's never too late to learn something. It's never too late to pivot. Because recently I was kind of thinking to myself, man, I want to go back to school, but I'm like, well, I can just keep working in social media. I can keep doing it freelance and things like that. I'm learning other languages. I can do something in linguistics, whether it's in Spanish or Mandarin and things like that. But at the same time, the way the job market is, it kind of scares me, um, and continue to doing same things that I've been doing. It makes me want to kind of shift into something totally different that has more guaranteed stability. Granted, social media is constant, it's all the time, but as we move more and more in advanced technology with AI and things like that, a lot of these companies and a lot of these jobs are kind of phasing out positions because AI can do the job, unfortunately, and that's kind of the case. But it doesn't mean that that's the end of the world. You just have to pivot. Maybe you learn machine learning. Maybe you learn how to deal with AI and things like that. But for me, for my case, I enjoy being around people. I like to be around people. I love community building, relationship building, and things like that. Well, I have enjoyed digital marketing and social media for the longest time. I do want to get back into that role of being around people and do what I can for my community and the elderly and the youth, and to kind of give back. And that's kind of why I've been leaning into. Um, and to be honest with you, like I said, it's affected me mental health wise. Not because of the simple fact that, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I'm not rich. I can always use more money. Trust me. But the thing is, it bothered me as far as like my self worth. I felt like, man, I don't have a job. I'm a man who doesn't have a job. I'm a man who's not working. What's wrong with me? I've been out of a job for a couple months now, like 2 or 3 months, and I'm like, man, I don't have a job. What's up? Like, what's up with me? I'm useless, and it starts to get into your head and you start to overthink. You start to feel like you don't matter, you're not worth it. Your life, and all of these negative thoughts that go into your head because you're not working, because you're not doing something quote unquote constructive. um, Granted, during this entire time I've been learning new skills. I've been meeting new people. I've been outside. I've been focusing on my health. There's a whole list of things that I've been doing, but at the same time, that idea of not having a job has been knocking on the door of, my perception of myself. You know what I mean? It's kind of like lingering in the back, like, hey, look, even no matter what I do in a positive sense, it's always just that knocking on the back door. It's like, hey, you don't have a job though. No matter what I do, I always think like, man, but I don't have a job. I can be doing something spectacular. I can be making so much progress, but at the end of the day, it's like, man, but I don't have a job. So many things could be going well for me, but man, I don't have a job, and that bothers me. You know, and it has nothing to do with the financial aspect. Like I said, I'm doing all right, but it has a lot to do with the fact that I feel useless, in a sense. And this is me being vulnerable saying these things. So recently, I started thinking to myself, well, maybe I should use some of my resources and maybe going back to school through the VA or things like that, um, to change careers, do something that what would I like to do? Well, I've always been into fitness and health. How about being a physical therapist? Helping rehabilitate people physically. How about being a nurse? You care about the elderly. You care about people going through things. You care about wanting to help the community and help people become better people and help heal others. What about being a mental health therapist? Things like that. So I've been considering going back to school for one of those different occupations, and so that's kind of been what's on my mind lately. Do I want to go back to school? Um, I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of at a crossroads because I'm at the point in my life where I'm thinking like, man, I'm too old. I'm 35. I'm too old to go back to school. But at the same time, I saw something yesterday actually. Um, you're going to be 35 regardless. Why not be 35 doing something that you really want to do? And that really stuck with me because going back to school when you feel like you're above the age of schooling, and you're never too old to learn. You're never too old to learn. But going back to school when you feel like you're past that age of schooling can feel, you know, daunting. You can feel like, hey, I don't fit in. This is not, I feel out of place. And that's not necessarily the case. You're never too old to stop learning. We never stop learning in general. You just might not be interested in paying to learn. That might be the issue. You might not want to pay to learn, which is very true. And this is why I'm considering, if I do this, I'm absolutely going to use some of the VA educational benefits that I earned through my time in service. Um, but with that being said, that's kind of what's been on my mind. And I kind of want to relay that to you guys that it's never too late. If you're sitting there and you're contemplating, a lot of us are, we're going through a lot. The economy is not necessarily the best. And you're like, man, and you might be like me where you lost your job and you're trying to figure something out and you got a lot of free time on your hands. Pick up another skill, maybe add on to the skills that you already have, make yourself a little bit more marketable, and while you applying for jobs, because right now we're all applying for jobs. You keep getting those rejection letters, because the job market, let's be honest, it sucks. But in the meantime, you could be adding to your skill set. There's a lot of free learning materials, like for instance on YouTube. There's LinkedIn Learning, things like that, Skill Bridge. There's a lot of different programs out there. And if you want to know more, just let me know. I'm very willing to send you as many resources as I can because I do that all the time. Constantly finding little programs here and there that provide free certifications, free education, things to help you improve yourself and get you to that next level, a stepping stone. You know. Um, and like I said, where I want to be is what I'm thinking about is healthcare. I want to get into healthcare. I mean, let's be honest. At the end of the day, we're never going to run out of jobs for nurses. There's never going to be There's never going to be too many nurses. Never. There's never going to be too many nurses. And in physical therapy is a thing as well because it's like everybody's gonna know I go to physical therapy. I got like bad knees and stuff, man, from my time in the service and just in life. I'm 35. I got bad knees like my grandfather has. You know what I mean? And so some of these occupations will never go away. Um, AI can grow as much as it wants to, but there's always going to be a need for a human nurse. There's always going to be a need for a human therapist, a human doctor. You know what I mean? Because those things are never going to change. You need someone there, an actual person to do it, not only for, the hands-on part, but for the relatability. That's never going to change. But like I said, it's just something that's kind of been on my mind lately. And I use this podcast to be vulnerable with you guys, and hopefully you can relate. Anybody who can relate, not hopefully you can relate, because I don't want you to be unemployed. I don't want you to go through mental health issues. I don't want you to go through some things that I'm going through. But if you do go through these things, I want you to know that you're not alone. That there's someone else out there just like you who's struggling, who's going through the the everyday struggles, trying to figure it out. I'm just like you. And right now, I'm in a space where, like I said, um, I'm very grateful that I'm not in a financial mess, but at the same time, I I need a job. I need a job again. I need a job again, and I'm in a position where I want to make either the choice of going back to school to switch into another career, or trying to find a way to make my, you know, um, go self-employed again. I haven't done that in a while, but I kind of want to do something different. I don't want to be self-employed in what I was before. I want to do something a little bit different. So, um, but like I said, there's always, it's never too late. Never think that just because you're older that it's too late for you to do things. Whether it's in art, whether it's in, sciences, wanting to be a doctor. I saw something recently where there was a gentleman. He became a doctor at 55, 56. He had been started off as one of the custodians at the university that he was working in. And he was a custodian for a while, and he started taking classes because he worked for the university. He was able to take classes for free. And so he would take classes over time, and then he became an assistant, I believe, or a nurse or something like that. And he went on to getting his white coat and and doing residency the whole 9 yards and becoming a full-fledged doctor at like 56. And I thought that was pretty awesome. So it's never too late. It's never too late to want to achieve the goals that you have. And like someone told me, you sit here and you talk about, well, I can't do this because let's say, I'm 40 years old. Well, you're going to be 40 years old regardless. Do you want to be 40 years old, or you want to just be 40 years old, or you want to be 40 years old and do something that you love at the same time? It's up to you. With that being said, this was kind of short. It's not too much that I wanted to get into today. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about, because it was something that was, plaguing me for a little bit. And if there's anybody out there who can relate, just know that you're not alone, and you can always improve yourself. You can always go back to learning. It's not the end of the world. And if you're out there struggling with unemployment and trying to find a job, just do the best you can. There's free resources out there to try to improve your employability and improve your skill set and make yourself better than you were yesterday. You can do it, and I believe in you. And that's all the time I have for today. Like I said, this is your boy, Cousin Marcus, and until next time, please be brave enough to talk. Take it easy.